Hey there, Harold Osmer, West Hills Wood. We had this speaker project come our way. Wound up making two of these big guys. Stick around, I'll show you how we made them, and I'll show you the details inside.
Yes, indeed, Harold Osmer, West Hills Wood. Be sure to like and subscribe. If I ever get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I can get paid for all the ads you have to watch beforehand. But hey, I'm not a YouTuber. I just put videos up every now and then. I'm really too busy doing projects like this. There it is. Speakers. Plans. The guy reached out, found me on the internet, of all places. Said, "Can you do this for me?" And I said, "Sure." Turns out his grandfather had left him one set of these Wharfedale drivers, the tweeter, mid-range, and woofer, as well as a crossover. And he took it as a challenge for himself over the years to try and find another set and actually build two speakers and go from there. He's tried this over the years and he kind of chased it down, and he eventually found me, and I'm real happy and proud to be part of this project. So anyways, that's how it all got started. Well, on to how to make speakers. Well, materials you want to use for speakers is this Baltic birch plywood, multi-layers, no voids, none of that. Or you can use MDF. MDF works pretty well. And here you go. Run it over the table saw. Do them all together in one time. And it works out better because then all your pieces are the same size. And that just makes sense. And there's a fair amount of precision involved here now. I'm trying to match up as best I can to what his plans call for. It's not up to me to interpret and change. No, I got to give the guy what he wants. So that's what we're doing here. We fortified that one end with the MDF. There you can see the MDF versus the Baltic birch plywood. And once you get the 4 panels set up, every step kind of leads itself to the next. And here's our front panels. Both of these are the same, even though they are effectively opposite, because he wants that crossover to be on the opposite side of each speaker. So there's some mirror imaging going on there. And once you get the fronts made, then you got to make the interior parts. These are all 1/2 inch MDF, and these are identical, but again, switched from one side to the other, if that makes any sense to you at all. Yes, it'll make sense here in a little bit. I'm going to guarantee that. And so here you go. That's what it winds up looking like. And I don't want to put any of this in the box until I have all these parts made, because it's difficult to get to them if they're in the box. And so eventually you put them in the box. And they have to be the exact size. You can't be filling anything in. No, it's got to fit. But that's why you call an actual woodshop guy, because then you can make things fit. And there it is. We're working with 2 of these. And you saw from the intro there just how large these things are. And 34 inches tall. And everything you add to them makes them heavier. Now here you go, the mirror image, left and right. You can see I have the back or the cover plate on the interior part. What you want to do is isolate the woofer from the tweeter in the mid-range, and so to do that you need a cover. Now we want to round over the corners. It's easier to leave the corners square for the glue up part. And when you run a router, oh my gosh, stuff goes everywhere. So just be ready, wear a mask. And then once you do the outside corner, you can do the inside corner. Now I did get a chisel and clean that up to make it nice and smooth. I got as close as I could with the router, or close as I dared with the router, let's call it. So now you're going to put the back on. Well, you can measure if you want, or you can lay the back in place and drill holes directly, and that will automatically align the support piece on the inside with the hole you make in the back. And then we use T-nuts. These are literally T, like T-E-E nuts. And they're metal. And you can hammer them in, but you'll break your thing off. Or you can use a big old C-clamp and just press it into place. And when you do that, this is what happens. Oh my, that's front and back on that finished pair there. Well, now my guy, Chino, automotive paint guy, he helped paint the truck at one point. I think I had a fender busted or something. And the guy wants these speakers, wants gloss white finish on them, which is something I cannot physically do in my shop. Chino's automotive paint guy, he can do it. So he sanded, he filled. I don't want to say he used Bondo, but whatever he filled with, and smoothed a little here and there. Primered them, painted them the bright white, then added gloss coat over that. And oh my gosh, I've never even thought about using automotive paint on any of the woodworking projects I've ever used. I will now though, because oh my, look at these. Oh, I don't know what to say, man. They look wonderful. And now, since I'm at this stage of the project, I know precisely how thick to make the wood for the grills that go on the front. And so now I get to dimension that wood. And the depth on that opening is essentially 1/2 inch, is what we started with after paint and everything else. Our frame wood comes to 3/8. And so it's 3/8 and it's 1 inch wide. And we use a table saw and we cut all our pieces at the same size because they need to be. And here we go. We're going to use half lap joints. We clamp this in place, and that's about 1 inch distance there. And you cut and you test and you cut and you test until you realize that your half lap joints actually work. And you cut one side like that and the other side like the other, and then it does this for you. Oh, one of the joys of woodworking is watching two pieces come together in such a way that it almost looks like one. But it's wonderful. And here's the corner once you round it off. Oh, it's terrific. And then you lay it in place and make sure it fits. And you darn right it fits. And we could only use 1 inch wide because we didn't want to eat up too much more of that space on that box. And my paint booth is not as nearly as fine as Chino's, but it does the job in this case. So I'm going to paint these frames and then we'll put grill cloth over them. And even though the grill cloth is very sheer, it's just going to show that white on the other side, but I don't need it super glossy over there, so Chino didn't need to get involved at this point. And here we go. Here's the inside or the back sides of the box. One has the cover on it, and this one shows you how the interior works here. We drilled these holes for this cover plate the same way as we did the back, where we laid it in place and drilled our holes. And here you can see the T-nuts sticking through on this side as well. And if you try to put the T-nuts in first and then glue them in place, well, then you're chasing all over the place trying to find the holes. And it's just difficult. Doesn't need to be that hard. So here's a crossover. Look at this beast of a crossover. And even though it was in the drawings, it didn't tell me how to do this, but that's why the guy found me, is because I know how to do this sort of thing. And there you go. Bit of engineering involved, but it goes in and out on both sides. It is not up to me to attach the drivers in this case. He wants to do that himself, and that will add some of that sweat equity value to the project for him. And here you go with the cover on it, and you can see it's the mid-range and tweeters nicely isolated from the woofer itself. And we went from this drawing to this. Oh my. And with that automotive finish on there, boy, these things just came out wonderful. They are big, they are heavy. This was one of those I sit back and said, I don't know how I did that. Hey, this is Harold Osmer, West Hills Wood. Be sure to like, subscribe, send beer.